Welcome back to the channel. We're going to review another 80s Arnold classic, 1985's Commando. If you love cheesy, over-the-top, machismo galore 1980s action movies starring the biggest action star of the decade, Arnold Schwarzenegger, then Commando checks all of the boxes. The 1985 flick is one of the biggest box office hits that Arnold starred in during his prime. It grossed $57.5 million on a minuscule $9 million budget, becoming the 25th highest-grossing film of 1985. Arnie made the film shortly after the success of the first Terminator, continuing his streak of playing straight-faced mercenaries with insane super strength. In Commando, Arnold is John Matrix, a retired U.S. Army Special Force colonel who is pulled back into the thick of action when his daughter, Jenny, gets kidnapped by a former comrade. The one who orchestrates the kidnapping is former South American dictator Arias, Dan Hedaya, whom Matrix once removed from power. In exchange for his daughter, Arias forces Matrix to assist his attempt to stage a military coup in his home country. Matrix goes along with the plan, but midway through, he escapes and takes down Arias' henchmen one by one to get his daughter. With the aid of a feisty young flight attendant, Cindy, Ray Don Chong, Matrix takes down the people who have betrayed him. What ensues is a series of action stunts, each more bombastic than the last, coupled with amusing one-liners that nobody in the real world would ever utter to one another. In the mid-80s, producer Joel Silver was a relatively new name in show business. Under his newly established banner, Silver Pictures, Commando was born. Later, that same company would go on to produce the Lethal Weapon franchise, the first two Die Hard films, the first two Predator films, as well as the Matrix franchise. In retrospect, Commando might not command as much prestige in the movie history as those other titles, but it definitely laid the groundwork for the kind of formula that Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, and other action-packed flicks made during that era thrived on. Take a stone-faced, chisel-jawed beefcake, give him wisecracking one-liners, put him in impossibly bonkers stunts, if possible against as many nameless bad guys with terrible aims, a la the Stormtroopers, as possible, and square him off against nefarious crime lords, usually of foreign nationalities. It's American bravado at its peak, which was truly what the 1980s was all about. The economy was booming, the horror of the Vietnam War was in the rearview mirror, and people wanted to feel good about the American dream again. These larger-than-life, seemingly invincible action heroes were the answer to that demand. And no one was better at embodying that than Arnold Schwarzenegger, a former world champion bodybuilder turned actor who, ironically, was born an Austrian. Quality filmmaking was honestly not the focal point of these movies. Commando did not have clever dialogue or smart scriptwriting. Neither was the acting anything more than tolerable. The budget for the movie was so tiny that the skimping showed on screen. It's low-key hilarious how the supposed headquarters of the South American big bad dictator looked like the Malibu villa of one of the Real Housewives, for instance. But to call this a bad movie for lacking traditional filmmaking qualities would be to ignore what made it special. Commando is the kind of film made for crowd-pleasing. The director, Mark L. Lester, was a low-budget specialist who knew how to work around limitations. And so he gave audiences plenty of fun instead. The campy ridiculousness of a beefy Arnold Schwarzenegger swinging from the balcony of a mall to the top of a moving elevator using decorations might have defied logic and a law of gravity, yet people still talk about it to this day. Him uttering the line, "He's dead tired," after breaking the neck of an enemy and propping him up as if he's asleep is so corny that it's actually brilliant. And there are plenty others you just got to discover for yourself in this movie. The action stunts are really what you tune in for. It's true what they say, they don't make them like they used to. Nowadays, CGI solves nearly every complexity of filmmaking. The Commandos, shootouts, and stunts were done with practical effects. That means, goofy as they may be, they're still better than half the stuff coming out even 10 years ago. Be forewarned, some of the gory sequences border on so ridiculous that it veers into unintentional comedy. Don't say I didn't warn you. Still, if you come to expect it, when it does appear on screen, you'll definitely have a good laugh at the sheer absurdity of it all. The best part is, Commando is so committed to its crazy ideas, playing what looks comical with a straight face, making it doubly funny. So, is this a good movie then? It depends on what you look for in a movie. I've included quite a bit of praise for the film, despite its many shortcomings. I can plainly see the rudimentary acting, the cheap sets, the steady decline into unintentional comedy as the film goes on. And yet, the more I think, it's part of the brilliance. It's camp. It's dumb fun where you can just check your brain at the door for 90 minutes of pure adrenaline-fueled, unadulterated fun. And apparently, a lot of people agree. The film spent 3 consecutive weeks at the top of the North American box office when it was released in 1985. To date, the infamous mall scene I mentioned earlier has been seen by over 6 million people on YouTube, and it was put there only a couple years back. Of course, in this meme-heavy world we live in, it's really the accidental hilarity that people mostly come for. But that in itself is what entertainment is all about, isn't it? Our rating, 4 out of 5 stars. Entertainment included. What do you think about Commando? Is it a yay, a nay, or a no way? Let us know if you agree or disagree in the comments down below. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to stay up to date on all of our newest content. Thanks for watching. You can check out some of our other videos here and here.